Welcome back. Thank you so much for having stayed with us here on Morning Lab. It's a fantastic morning. Our colleagues Simpiwe as well as Lerato Tipa out and about in Port Elizabeth, and this is of course for the launch of the National Science Week. They spoke to a number of stakeholders throughout the morning, including the Minister of Science and Technology, Naledi Pandor. Obviously, speaking about how fascinated children are about the world of science, and we need to continue feeding their curiosity and making sure that they remain interested in the sciences. And of course, we know that science, the world of science, is all about solving problems, especially when we look at our socio-economic landscape here in South Africa. It's a great contributing factor to making communities so much better here in South Africa. But I will take you back all the way to the Nelson Mandela University in Port Elizabeth, where Simpiwe and Lerato are standing by.
Well, thank you so much, Pearl, and a warm welcome back to the Nelson Mandela University at the Mission Vale campus right here in Port Elizabeth. In about an hour or so, Science and Technology Minister Naledi Pandor will conduct a walkabout at the exhibition centres and, signal the start and rather launch the National Science Week 2017. And I'm standing with one of the exhibitors, Mr. Brian Tait, who's the executive director of Innoventin, actually. He's the Operations Strategy Executive. A very good morning to you and welcome to Morning Live, Mr. Tait.
Good morning, everyone.
Indeed. In 2014, you launched a very innovative technology that converts algae into biofuels. Talk us through that.
Yes, it's a very interesting product. What we do is we combine waste coal with microalgae. We form a solid product which we call Coalgae. Last year, we established a larger plant to produce Coalgae and produced 5.5 tons within a 7-month period. We sent some of that away for testing, for instance to Eskom, as well as to some large boiler manufacturers around the world, and we've had really excellent results in terms of the characteristics of that product. We're now focusing on taking that solid Coalgae product to downstream liquid fuel processes that could be transport fuels like diesel or jet fuel. And we're also looking at other downstream opportunities, for instance, fish feeds, biofertilizers, and all kinds of products made from algae, which is an excellent raw material for many, many products.
Okay. Now, this is a very interesting innovation. Have you seen any interest from stakeholders around the country?
Yes, we've seen quite a bit of interest from both large and small players around the world. Countries include places like the US, China, India, Australia, as well, of course, South Africa. And we are in discussions with various parties of taking this process and this innovation forward.
Okay. Now, talk us through about how do I get involved in this project? Do I have to collect algae and then bring it to your company for you to process it?
No, we hope to license this technology to people, that they can actually cultivate their own algae on their own facility. So they would actually come to us, we could help them establish an algae facility, as well as all the downstream processing of that algae biomass into whatever products they wish to manufacture for whichever markets.
So what are some of the benefits that this innovation or this project brings to rural communities?
That's a good question. We have taken the basic algae and put it through a heat treatment process and produced a low smoke fuel. We call that Coalgae. And that is an excellent...
Say that again, what's that?
Coalgae, which means it burns well. Okay. It's an excellent fuel for household cooking and heating purposes. It burns completely with less poisonous gases. It lasts up to 5 hours, much better than traditional coal or wood. And it also burns with very little smoke. So it's really a smokeless fuel which can improve the quality of air, both in townships as well as rural areas.
So it is an alternative source of energy.
It's an alternative source of energy, and it is basically a biofuel.
Now, Mr. Tait, talk to us about the advantage of this project being the capital investment in the blending and the distribution of it.
As I said, the Coalgae basic product that we form is a mixture of coal and algae biomass, which is a biofuel component. So we produce an all-in-one product. If you look at the traditional ways that bioenergy and biofuels have been produced, is that it's 2 separate processes and 2 separate logistical chains that have to come together with 2 sets of equipment. So we have a process where we can feed a single product which produces a fuel, for instance, a biodiesel or something like that, that already contains both the fossil part and the biofuel part, and therefore you do not have to duplicate the infrastructure, the logistics chains, so it avoids capital investment. So I think that's the advantage of our products in the biofuel space.
And how are the students benefiting out of this?
Over the past 2 years, and obviously we're going longer than that, but just the past 2 years, we've had about 12 students at various levels. That's from honours to PhDs, as well as postdoc students. And they get an opportunity to be involved in real research that is actually focusing on a practical industry problem. So it's very applied research, and we hope those people can then go out into the wider world and industry, take some of our technology around, as well as contribute to the economy of South Africa. So yes, the students have been benefiting.
And how do young and upcoming business people, especially the SMEs, participate in this kind of project?
Well, this is probably a project where we would like consortia of people involved, so big companies together with small companies. Ultimately, you have to grow algae, so normally a large company is probably not experts at growing algae, so that's where the entrepreneurs can come in. They can grow the algae, collect it in a central facility, and then it can be processed further for industrial purposes.
And talk to us in layman's terms about the actual process of growing algae. How does it happen? How does it...
Well, algae is really something like a plant. So you need sunlight, you need carbon dioxide, and we can use waste gases from industry to feed the algae. We need water. It doesn't have to be potable water. Industrial water could do. Borehole water, polluted water are probably good for algae because it contains the nutrients that a plant requires. So we put this into a special system which we have a patent on, which then produces high quantities of algae, and then we can use that in downstream processes.
Mr. Tait, great chatting to you. Thank you so much for your time. All right, that was Brian Tait. He's the executive director of Innoventin. They are actually one of the exhibitors here at the Nelson Mandela University, the Mission Vale campus, wherein Minister Lalile Pando will launch the National Science Week in just a couple of hours from now. All right, Morning Live takes a coffee break. We'll be right back. Don't go away.